victimhood is the new pandemic in 2025. It's very contagious too. Like, a lot of people suffer from a victim mentality. It's become a pandemic these days. Being a victim is cool, right? It's a weird pandemic where it's like, it's cool to have this disease of victimhood mentality, right? People think it's cool. People want to be victims so bad, right? They will fight tooth and nail for why they can't rather than why they can, right? It's interesting because it's very fascinating actually, because when you try and like convince people why they shouldn't be victims, why they should be winners, why they should, strive for success, why they should be victors, they refuse. They would rather stay a victim. They rather choose to blame outside forces. They rather choose to blame their skin color. They want to blame, other people, the system, the matrix, whatever you want to call it. They want to find anyone to blame but themselves, right? And within reason, it's actually easier. It's a lot easier to play victim. It's easier to be a victim than to actually be a victor, because when you're a victim, you don't have to take any self accountability. You just have to wait for someone to save you. You just have to be a damsel in distress, right? And it's so much easier, right, to be a damsel in distress because you don't have to actually do anything, right? And that's why I always advocate for getting jacked, getting on Bodygame, because when you hop on Bodygame, when you get jacked, it forces you out of that victim way of thinking, because when you're on the pursuit of your fitness journey, you're in a constant state of growth, because you're growing your muscles, you're growing your physique, you're growing your biceps, you're growing your triceps, you're growing your shoulder, you're transforming. So you're already in a growth oriented way of thinking. And that like pushes you out of a victim way of thinking, because you're taking control of your life in this domain, which is fitness. And that actually trickles out into other areas. And it actually is the cure to, I actually feel like getting jacked is the cure to victimhood. I think it's the cure to getting over the victim mentality. It's the first step, right? And it's also the first step in recreating yourself, right? I always talk about recreating yourself into a character that commands attention and never bores the audience. And the character that commands attention and never bores the audience, right? He's not a victim. That person is not a victim. Right? And so you have to recreate yourself from victim to victor if you want to become someone who commands attention and never bores the audience. And if you need help hopping on your fitness journey, hit that link in the description, book a one-on-one consultation, and we'll see if you're a great fit for the program, right? Little shameless plug for those of you guys that need it. Make sure you like and subscribe while you're at it. But like I was saying, to make that transformation from skinny to jacked or obese to jacked, it is the first step to obliterating the victimhood mentality, because you're like I said before, you're in a growth oriented way of thinking. You're thinking of yourself in a way of someone who's constantly growing, someone who's transforming. So how can you be a victim if you're already transforming your life, right? Because victims don't believe they can change. They don't believe that it's possible for them. They would rather complain about what's wrong with the world. They rather blame someone. They rather someone save them. Right. And that's why it's such a pandemic, because a lot of people think, and this is deeper than what it is, right? And I'm going to go deeper into this because we talk about physique inflation. And I think people who complain about physique inflation, those guys have a little bit of a form of a victim mentality as well, right? Because for those of you guys that don't know, physique inflation is the belief that everybody is a roided out bodybuilder. Everybody is that a physique back then, so that a physique today is not as impressive as a physique back then, and that the standards are way too high, when it's actually the opposite. The standard is actually way too low, because if you touch grass for real, you actually get offline, you actually go outside in the real world. Not many people are actually jacked. Not many people are actually in shape like that, right? Because online, it's just the 1% of the population is being pushed out to make it look like it's a majority, but really it's really just a loud minority, right? And if you actually go in the real world, not many people are jacked. Go to your mall, go to the supermarkets, go to a Walmart, go anywhere. Not many people are actually on Bodygame like that. Most people are average. The average man has a dad bod. The average man can't even do 10 pull-ups. The average man can't even do 10 push-ups. The average man can't even bench 225, right? And you know what this all stems down to? It stems down to victimhood mentality, because the average man sees himself as a victim. The average man doesn't want to take control over their lives. And victims and the average man have a lot in common, because victims, they're the ones that are not in shape. They're the ones that are like, that want to blame everyone. They're the ones that say they don't have time for the gym. They're the ones that say, It's their genetics. They're the ones that make excuses for why they're not where they want to be, right? And there is a correlation with victimhood and the average man. And you see these trends of all these people saying like, oh, I'm a victim, yada yada. Like, look at me, give me a cookie, I'm a victim. Like, give me a prize for victim of the year. Everybody wants to be the biggest victim. Everybody's trying to win this prize of being the biggest victim. You see it on social media. And at the same time, you see this physique inflation narrative being pushed, and you see what's going on in the real world. You go outside and you see the average man, you'll start to see the patterns. That victimhood is a pandemic, and it's affecting people not just in fitness, but also in other domains of life. It can be in finances, it can be in school, it can be in your, like I said, fitness, it can be in many different areas. And it runs deeper than you think, because victimhood keeps people from striving for success. It keeps people from inspiring each other, right? And that's why it's such a problem. It's such a pandemic. It's such a disease that many people fall into this trap because it's so easy and it's very contagious, right? I could be a victim right now if I wanted to, right? I tore my Achilles. Right now, I just got cleared about a month ago to go back to the gyms and stuff. I could easily play victim and say, oh, I'm not going to upload because I'm injured. I'm not going to go to the gym because I'm injured. By the way, like, I got cleared by a doctor to go back to the gym. So like, if you're not cleared to go to a doctor and you have an injury, obviously don't go. But the point I'm trying to make is that there's the average man in my situation would probably curl up in a ball and cry and like play victim, right? Me, I'm choosing to actually fight back. I'm choosing to live my life. I'm choosing to still go to the gym, still work out, right? Because I'm not a victim. I'm a victor. I changed my mentality from victim to victor, right? I can easily blame society and say, oh, the system's against me. I have a torn Achilles. I'm injured. I'm at a disadvantage, yada, yada, yada. Okay, so what? I'm at a disadvantage. So what? I have a torn ligament, whatever. I'm still doing what I can to advance myself forward, right? You need to have the mentality of a winner. That's how winners think, because that's what separates victims, losers, and winners and warriors, is that victims use their disadvantages, they use their downfalls, and they dwell in them, and they go and cry in a corner, rather than warriors and winners. When adversity arises, they actually choose to fight back and they rise up. They go out and achieve, right? But nobody wants to do that. Everybody wants to cry in a corner and play who's biggest victim. They want to win the award for biggest victim of the year. That's the issue with this generation. Right, so you have a choice right now. Are you going to be victim of the year, or are you going to be the warrior who's going to be a trendsetter and actually going to do something with your life, right? You're going to actually make that change. You're going to actually recreate yourself. So I'm always saying that there's nothing enlightening about playing small, right? There's nothing enlightening about playing small so other people don't feel insecure around you, right? Because when you play big, when you start to stand out, when you start to actually do things with your life, you start to succeed, you stop subscribing to the victimhood. The victims are going to feel insecure, right? But there's nothing enlightening about playing to their level. You have to rise up and make those victims insecure, and in hopes that maybe some of them will actually get inspired, and they will stop wanting to be victims, and they're going to want to follow in your footsteps, and they're going to get inspired as well, right? So like I'm saying, there's nothing enlightening about playing small. There's nothing enlightening about being a victim. There's nothing enlightening about, acting in a way that's like, oh, woe is me, system's against me, I'm a loser, yada yada. Oh, I have all these systemic bullshit. Like, you know what I mean? There's nothing cool about that. You might as well be a warrior and fight back. You might as well, despite your disadvantages, despite the odds or cards being stacked against you, you might as well fight back, because that's the most enlightening thing you can do. Inspire other people, because then maybe you have these disadvantages for a reason. Maybe you have them so that you can be an example for someone else, right? But I'll close off with this, stop being a victim. TLDR, stop being a victim. Be a victor, be a warrior, because we need more of those today. We have enough victims already. And yeah, make sure you book a one-on-one consultation. If you're looking to, get in shape, you need help, hopping on Bodygame, you're not sure how, you don't really have the knowledge about fitness, hit the link in the description. We'll have a little conversation. And if you are selected, I'll work with you 6 months so that you can get in the best shape of your life. We'll work on nutrition. We'll work on your training, we'll work on your mindset, all the things of that nature, so that you can reach your fitness goals, right? So if that sounds like you and you're serious and you actually want to change your life, hit that link in the description. I'll be happy working with you soon. And remember, there's nothing enlightening about playing small. I'm going to catch y'all next video. See ya.